Like to call the meeting to order. Roll call of aldermen.
Alderman Hazel. Here. Alderman Kinsella. Here. Alderman Pusa. Here. Alderman Bittner. Here. Alderman Randall. Here. Alderman Tyler. Here. Alderman Anthony. Here. Alderman Ovian. Here. Alderman Silsby. Here. Alderman Dentelman. Here. Alderman Seibert. Here. Alderman White. Here. Alderman Galletti. Here. Alderman Elmore. Alderman Wigington. Here. Alderman Musgrove.
Alderman Elmore and Musgrove are excused. Roll call department heads.
City Treasurer Hart.
Here.
City Attorney Horner. Here. Police Chief Clay. Fire Chief Poor. Here. Ken Vaughn. Royce Carlisle. Here. Jamie Matrit. Here. Tim Gregowitz. Here. Jim Schneider. Here. Leander Spearman. Here. Anissa McCaskill. Here. Chuck Schaefer. Debbie Belleville. Bob Sabo.
Debbie Belleville's excused. She was ill today. Mike's here for Chuck. Lieutenant Colonel Sparger's here for Chief Clay. And Kenny Vaughn is working on issues with the move this evening. He's excused. He's still out and about dealing with stuff. With that said, I think I covered everybody. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, ladies and gentlemen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We do not have a public hearing this evening, but I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I think they started making calls this afternoon. Chief Clay brought to my attention first after lunch today that there was a mistake with the notification of the burn grant that is due. The timing of it has to all be in and accomplished and voted on by June 30th, and we have to have a public hearing. Well, this particular public hearing doesn't take an extensive amount of notification, but we couldn't notify it today for tonight. We have to have at least, 48 hours? So we don't lose that money, that $18,000 roughly. They should have made some calls to see if we have a quorum, but Monday at 5 or 5:30 we have ordinance, right?
Yeah.
Is it 5?
5:30.
5:30. Figured it'll be possibly an hour and a half. So at 7 o'clock Monday on the 27th, I'm asking that if we could do this so we don't lose this grant. It's basically on the agenda. I foresee one item, and that's going to be to have the public hearing first. It's a formality. We have it every year, but it's a grant that the police department administers with some other area departments, and our take on it is right around $18,000. Can be used for equipment and various things. So I apologize that it was something years ago that Captain Sachs always used to, I think, dealt with, and with him retiring the first of the year, still one of those things, sometimes duties get shifted around, and it wasn't brought to my office's attention to get the public notice for the public hearing. So you will be getting official notice on that, and for as many of you can come. I was told, I think this afternoon, late in the day, we already had feedback that we had 10 aldermen, so we have a quorum. So for those of you who can make it, thank you. The rest of you, I understand. Department heads, except for the police department, I will not demand or ask that the department heads be present for that extra meeting. So with that said, tonight is the last official meeting in City Hall. As you look around, as it is today, we'll still have a zoning hearing end of the month, and we'll have that special meeting next week. But this is the last official meeting, so the City Hall will start to go through renovations and changes. Shortly after the 4th of July, it'll be roped off, and it'll be definitely going through a lot of adjustments with asbestos abatement and new lighting and ADA accessibility. So a lot of things will be happening here, and I just want to say thank you to staff and the public and everybody. We've already received a lot of cooperation, and for moving, it's not pleasant. You all know it. You've all been through it personally, but it's going, I think, well, and I think we'll continue to make it thanks to everybody's cooperation. So thanks to all the staff and everybody who's been been enduring a lot of extra work. At this time, I will open public participation. Let me back up 1 second. Our next official meeting will be at Lindenwood in the Dixon Center, and that meeting will be July 5th. Because of the holiday on July 4th, it'll be July 5th, and it'll be in the Dixon Center, regular time. The committee meeting that night is Master Sewer. It'll be at the normal 6 o'clock time. You'll see when you get there, that area is kind of divided off with dividers. The back half, closer to 23rd Street, will be the committee meeting, and then the front half will be set up for the council meeting, and that's where we'll be starting. And then we'll go over emergency procedures at Lindenwood that night. For tonight's sake, for this meeting, if we had to leave here, remember, if there would be a storm, we would carefully go across the lobby to the stairs, going downstairs right across from the clerk's desk to the storm-designated shelter. If we had to leave because of fire, smoke, or other reasons, we'd go out the front door, carefully cross the street, and meet in front of the sign by the county, St. Clair County building. So that will take care of those procedures for tonight. At this time, I will open public participation. I will call on you. Please come to the microphone, give your name, and keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Michael Hagberg. I'll open with a reminder that the yearly deadline for closing inactive TIFs is quickly approaching. At last year's TIF review meetings, you had mentioned that a couple of TIFs should be closed because of inactivity, and you had missed the deadline. So maybe we'll get that deadline and get some of the TIFs that are not performing out of the way. Tonight's agenda has an item on 15C that reads, Ordinance 7964, an ordinance amending Ordinance 7955. The Open Meetings Act requires that agendas list items with sufficient information provided to the public about the action before the council makes a vote. With no additional information provided in the packet, I believe this is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Last, back in December, Mayor Eckert stated that the taxes on a $100,000 home would increase by approximately $8.73. In April, we learned the actual increase is $70.20. Mayor Eckert then said a substantial amount of this increase was due to the governor's signing into law property tax exemptions for disabled veterans. I have FOIA'd the information from the county and received a list of all properties within Belleville that have received disabled veterans exemptions. Having analyzed this data, I have calculated the effect of the disabled veterans exemption to be $9.44 of the $70.20 increase. Mayor Eckert, $9.44 is not a substantial amount of the property tax increase.
Anyone else this evening? Yes, sir.
Stuart Langer, 318 South 29th Street, Belleville. I see there's going to buy some police cars. I thought the object is kind of buy local. I don't know where these cars are coming from. And as far as this shrine project, I thought it seemed like any time Belleville wants to do anything, whether it's try to figure out how many parking spaces they got or no matter what, they got to get an engineering study or a impact study or something. Now, did anybody ever do a study to figure out exactly how many people might come to this shrine, this German Munich beer hall styled after Adolf Hitler's beer hall in Munich, and these 4 or 5 hotels and restaurants? Did anybody really crunch some numbers and figure out where are all these customers coming from? Or is this like the Field of Dreams with Robert Redford? You just build it and they will come. I don't know. And Fire Chief Clay, I think Fire Chief Clay, I'm in favor of firing Chief Clay He's got no flags on the police cars. or
Okay,
on-
okay, listen. We're very tolerant, but, you know, let's don't get into personnel things. If let's don't get into picking
Well, I
on
think
certain,
it's
let's don't pick
important.
on employees.
I think this is important. The American flag is not something you just toss around and toss out just willy-nilly. You should have the American flag on the uniform and on the cars. You know, it was past practice. It's not like somebody decided, we're gonna put the flag on there or we're not. Those flags were on the uniform and they were on the cars, and he decided he don't want them on there anymore. I think that's totally un-American, and it's a bad policy. We got a total breakdown of law and order in this city already. And I tried to talk to you, the mayor, and the Chief Clay, and was totally ignored. I filed complaint against police chief about 8 years ago, turned it in, and in less than 4 hours, Chief Clay personally called and said I was a liar and a troublemaker. And cars run this stop sign at 29th and Godfrey all day, all night long. There's no respect for laws. I guess you can't blame the citizens of Belleville, as Lindenwood comes to town and doesn't obey any city laws, so why should the tax-paying citizen? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Rose Wilson, 322 West I Street. Just a little history. The Adolf Hitler era has nothing to do with the Hofbräuhaus. Just wanted to mention that in case somebody else had some questions about this. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to close public participation.
Mayor.
I'm sorry. Did you want to say something, Mary? Okay, sure, I'm sorry. Sorry, no.
It doesn't. Mary Fisher, Huntsville, Alabama, former Belleville resident. I just want to say that since I've come back here for a visit, it's been 2 years since I've been here. This city is just progressing. I lived here 49 years, and most of that I see under Mayor Eckert. I see a lot of negative things in the newspaper. We live in a country where everybody can speak their mind. But from what I see, Lindenwood has made just a difference in that end of town. It would have been an empty building with windows broken out, and we got rid of I don't want to say a name, but the business next to all the duplexes across the street. So I think that the city and the people that are behind running it are doing the best job I've ever seen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm now going to close public participation. I normally don't answer comments. First of all, I am going to, just for the sake, Stuart, just so you know, we advertise police cars to all local people, all the local dealers, but most of the time we end up getting them from out of town because they have the state bid package, and the way these things are bid through the state procedures, we save the citizens, taxpayers, a pretty enormous amount of money. Plus, our local dealers won't bid. They don't want to be involved in that aspect, that type of buying. But I do want you to know, we always send them the bid sheets. We advertise, we make sure that they get them. And like I said, then from there on, we got to go to the lowest, most responsible bidder, okay? I want you to realize that. We're not skipping over by Belleville. The other thing, Jamie, I know you're not prepared right now, but we will answer. I will have an answer because Mr. Hagberg, your comments are not totally on track here. We have some information, and we'll put it together. So, moving on with that. While we're making all these comments and announcements, in case I forget at the end of the meeting, don't want to forget to tell you all, the open house for the police department will be this Saturday. 10 o'clock is the ribbon cutting at 720 West Main, and then the open house will go till 4 o'clock. And that's your chance to get in and see it and be a part of it. We'll have a brief ceremony with a couple brief remarks, and the Philharmonic is going to come over and play a couple selections or two, and it would be very nice. But we welcome everyone, and we hope that you can come join us Saturday morning, starting at 10 o'clock. With that said, now we will move. There's no presentations, recognitions, or appointments this evening. So we go to the approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting held June 6th, 2016. What's your pleasure?
Move they be approved as presented.
Motion by Alderman Consilla, second by Alderman Pusa, to accept and file the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? Alderman Hazel?
Yeah, on page 8 of 15, so it's not that big of a deal, but when it refers to the pertinent zoning ordinance, it should read 60-6-49 instead of 66-49.
Make a note of that.
Got it.
Honestly.
Okay, so that's duly noted. With that being stated and being corrected, if there's nothing additional, we have a motion, a second, to accept and file the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We go to claims, payroll, and disbursements. I'd ask for a motion to pay those payroll. As looks like $7,676,190.22. I'm sorry, that's the dispersed claims, and the payroll is $1,032,437.27. Do I hear a motion to make the payments of the motion by Wiggington, second by Anthony? Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dentelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. We have a treasurer's report. Do I hear a motion to accept and file for audit? Motion by Ovian. Do I hear a second? Second by Seibert. Do I hear any discussion on receiving and filing the treasurer's report for audit? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oral reports. Alderman Silsby, you want to take the finance for me, please?
Okay, Your Honor, on behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a new street sweeper for $256,660.50 through Buy Board Program. So moved.
Is there objection if we do the two together? Anybody? You want to go ahead and read the other one with it?
Second motion, I'd like to make to approve the low bid of $210,277 from Reether Ford for 8 police SUVs. So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Seibert, to approve those two recommendations coming from the Finance Committee, those two purchases. Discussion. Yes, sir.
On the police cars, that's for the cars, it's not outfitting them, right?
That's just for the cars.
Okay. Do we
Just
know
for
what the cost is?
Well, now that we have a number of them, I guess we're starting to, I don't know if there's a whole lot more startup stuff, we're starting to transfer it over.
It averages about, 38,000 per vehicle by the time.
Total.
It's outfitted with all the equipment and all the wording and everything else that goes into getting them ready for the street.
But I do know that,
Yeah, that's if you're adding, starting out on, so getting, like you said, enough that we can pull some out.
yeah, we're getting to the point now, we're getting to almost enough SUVs that eventually we'll get to the point where a lot of that equipment, the next year or two, will start to go to the first ones we bought, and they'll, because we had to buy new stuff when we went from the Crown Vics, that was whole different shields and everything. So I think we'll probably have to buy new yet for this one, but it's in the budget. But we're coming up in the next year or so, when we start replacing the first rounds of SUVs, they'll start to get a little bit cheaper. Did I answer your question?
So were these additional cars? Or
No,
did
these
they
are, we
replace-
normally replace 6 to 10 a year.
There's 8 old police vehicles getting traded in. They're not the SUVs, though.
Yeah, these are ones that have 100,000 plus miles. And we're just trying to reduce the amount of maintenance that we're putting out on some of those vehicles.
Okay.
Do we have a motion and a second already? I'm sorry,
I
Gillette.
just have a question. The street sweeper, are we trading in a street sweeper?
No,
How many street sweepers do we have?
we have 2 right now. The one is on its last leg. So this will actually probably give us the right to bury that one and have two decent ones. Is that fair to say, Mike? Yeah. They get used a lot, but it's not a cheap piece of equipment. Not a cheap piece of equipment. But they help us a lot because when you can get those catch basins cleaned and everything, it's really helping the sewer department and everything else. So there's a lot of benefits from it. So we do have a motion and a second, Silsby and Seibert, to approve these two recommendations from finance. If there's no further dialogue, roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. I'd ask for Mr. White, if you want to tackle the traffic committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of the Traffic Committee, I have two motions. The first one is a motion to approve to delete one-way street from West E Street from Route 159 to North 2nd Street and have the proper ordinance drawn. Should I read both of them?
I don't care if you want to read them together. It
Okay.
seems like everybody's in pretty cooperative spirit here.
Good. Motion to approve to create a stop sign on West E Street at North 1st Street. So moved and have the proper ordinances drawn.
Motion by Alderman White, second by Alderman Seibert, for those two recommendations coming from the traffic committee and have the proper ordinance drawn. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, to approve those two motions and have the proper ordinance drawn, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Streets and grades, Alderman Seibert.
Yes, sir. I have four motions here, all approved by the Streets and Grades Committee. I'd like to read them and have them voted on as one.
Anybody have a problem with these motions going as a group? Proceed.
Motion to approve Arrett in the amount of $110,997 for the 2016 infrastructure program. A motion to approve Volker to perform engineering inspection services for the North Illinois streetscape in the amount of $50,000. Motion to approve JTC Petroleum in the amount of $169,505. And a motion to approve TWM to perform engineering services for Lakeshore Drive in the amount of $8,500. So moved, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Dillman, to approve those four items coming from Streets and Grades. Comments or questions? Alderman Galletti?
What's the JTC thing?
That's our oil and chip program, right, Mike? And this year, we're in the East End, and while I know there's been concern and discussion last year in Ogles, we received many calls, concerns.
Yeah, they don't, well, my calls and concerns are they don't want it done.
Well, if you have some areas where you have some grave comments, you need to get with Mike or Chuck. As Tim explained to him, we don't have the money to do asphalt overlays on all these streets, and if we don't put down the oil and chip, we'll lose the base of the road. Most of what's being scheduled this year, a lot of it's alleys that have greatly been neglected for years, right, Mike? Which is what area, Mike, do you know? Okay. So if somebody's having some real heartburn and you know your territory's coming up, you need to talk to them ahead of time. They're gonna preach being very careful this year, but the alternative is to do nothing, and doing nothing is not good either for the base of the road. So talk to us if you have a problem. But this motion tonight gives us the permission to execute the contract and get as many of the streets done as we can. With that said, we have a motion and a second to approve these four items coming from Streets and Grades. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. We have a motion request from the Board of Police and Fire Commission to hire a new police officer, Joel M. Is that Veras? Veras? Effective 12/01 on July 11, 2016. This young officer will be placing Brian Dowdy, who's leaving on disability. Do we have a motion? Motion by Seibert, second by Anthony. Discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. Communications?
12A, communication from Piece by Piece and Belleville Main Street requesting to hold a sidewalk sale from July 29th to July 31st of this year. The sale will be from 3rd Street on the west end to Charles Street on the east end, no street closures. 12B, several families that live on the block of Albin Street between Lincoln Street and Garfield Street are requesting a street closure for a neighborhood yard sale. We request the street be closed on June 25th, 2016 between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Okay, we have two communications. You just heard them read. Alderman Seibert, make the motion.
To be approved.
Motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman White. Do I hear discussion? All in favor of approving the two communications just read by the clerk, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Petitions, we have none. Resolutions, we have none. Do you want to address that about the one ordinance? We have 3 ordinances pending. It's the third one.
The, excuse me, the amendment of ordinance 7955 is simply noting the correct location for the hearing, consistent with the fact that the city council meeting that night will have moved to the Allen Dixon Center at Lindenwood. So it's just a change of the location. As far as the matters raised regarding the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act simply requires you to provide the general subject matter. 7955 was was passed at the last meeting, but it incorrectly included City Hall address, which obviously is going to be closed. So you could do one of two things. You know, if there's a contention that it's a general subject matter is unknown, you can approve it at your special meeting on Monday if you desire.
Yeah, we better, because otherwise we might be turned into the Attorney General.
Yeah, I mean,
So we just go ahead and
the,
we'll hold out
the,
that
the
one.
public hearing notice will still be, it just needs to be published within a window of 10 to 30 days prior to the hearing, so we got plenty of time.
So I would ask Alderman Silsby for a motion to approve the first 2 ordinances, and we'll hold off on the third one tonight.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 7960 and 7963.
Motion by Alderman Silsby, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Tyler, do I hear discussion? All in favor of reading by those two ordinances by title only and together signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
15A, ordinance number 7960 of 2016, a zoning ordinance in regard to case number 23, May of 16, Eric Wibbles. 15B, ordinance number 7963 of 2016, ordinance adopting the prevailing wage rate.
Motion to approve ordinance 7960 and 7963. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Hazel. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. Do we need a motion to just table that one to next meeting?
No,
We'll just renotice it, okay? Duly noted. Any unfinished business? Yes, sir.
A few comments on the June 8th meeting with Lindenwood. First off, I want to say once again, the residents that I've been representing that have come to me with concerns have never said that they do not want Lindenwood University here. Lindenwood University moving into Belleville West Old Campus is a very good thing. They've done a lot of improvements there. It's helped the neighborhood. The citizens, however, have concerns, and there's some issues that have not been addressed. That meeting on the 8th did not address the concerns of the residents. When the ordinance, the special use permit was passed, the meeting was to be a sit-down between the administration of Lindenwood, the administration of the city, and the residents to air out their concerns. That didn't happen at that meeting. And what I'm asking tonight, Mayor, is that you schedule a meeting between Lindenwood University administration, yourself, the administration of the city, and invite the residents from West A, South 27th, 28th, 29th, and to sit down and voice their concerns. We want to have these issues addressed prior to the kids coming back in August. I think it's the least we can do as a city to sit down and have these residents voice their concerns, get some concrete answers, and address these issues. There's no reason why we should ever get to a point where there's two sides here. There's not two sides. There isn't. There's concerns that need to be addressed. That's what the people are asking for. Nobody's ever said Lindenwood shouldn't be here. It's a great thing that they're here. Nobody wants them to go anywhere, and Lindenwood's not going to go anywhere. So what we need to do is learn to live together. And that's, so what I'm asking is,
So are you asking for a meeting with the aldermen and these residents?
and the city administration and Lindenwood University
Because
administration.
if we do that, hold it a second. If we do that, it's an open meetings, and then neighbors who live on 30th Street or Cambridge Court, they're eligible to come if it's an open meeting.
But that's fine, Mayor, they can be there, but what I want is a controlled situation where the concerns are actually addressed. It doesn't have to be a pep rally. I don't want to get to it like it was at the last meeting, where everybody's getting up there and saying how great Lindenwood is. Nobody disagrees with that. That's great. But there are concerns that need to be addressed, and they aren't being addressed, Mayor.
Well, I disagree with you, but I'm not gonna disagree with you about everything 100%. But even since that meeting that night, I've had two of the neighbors in my office, and we've sat down and we've worked through several more things. So I do know that more substance of solutions are being handled. I truly believe it. Now, is everybody 100% happy? I can't say that. But if we have a meeting where you want all the aldermen there,
It doesn't have to be all the aldermen.
well,
It
if
could
we
be-
have more than four, quorum of a quorum, we have to, it's an open meetings.
And that's fine, Mayor, but then we need to control it. We need to set an agenda and say, these are the concerns, it's to address concerns. Nobody's gonna badmouth, it's not badmouthing Lindenwood. We gotta get off of that. Nobody's badmouthing, but there are issues. There's the patrol issues, there's the trash issues, there's the parking. There's questions as who is going to enforce the parking plan? When's it gonna be enforced? I think it'd be in good nature, and it shows that the city has the concerns of the citizens at heart. And that's what I'm asking. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna ask you, you decide.
Anissa,
which
do you
one.
know when we have a meeting before school starts for the staff, right? Okay, let's brainstorm with them, and then we'll get back with him about how we might be able to effectively do this.
You want to let Jane go?
Jane's first.
Yeah, my thing is, okay, a lot of the people there, and I grant you, did not speak. There were tons of people from 27th, 29th, 28th. They're all affected. I mean, if we're gonna talk bringing those people in, we're not gonna do anything different. They have a right, they don't have a problem. The majority don't have a problem with Lindenwood. And my concern is, how long are we gonna go through this? I think we have to address something, but some of this, those people over there don't know what I'm talking about when I ask them, what are your problems? They don't have any, so, and they came to the meeting. So just because there's 6 or 8, maybe 6 or 8 houses that are unhappy, everybody's gonna have to, we're all gonna stop everything to do this. It just surprises me.
Well,
I'm sorry they're not happy. I wish we could do something to help them, but
since the meeting on the 8th, I followed up with a couple of neighbors, and they admitted that they were happy that the asphalting was going on and that the yard work is still going on. We've had some dialogue back and forth about one unit in question, what they're gonna do with it. We've had a number of good conversations, and they admit to me, and these are two of the people on the 27th, 29th Street area who've admitted they've had concerns, but they feel much better about answers being forth, that have come forth. So I think we are making, they came to my office or called me, we met. I do think we're getting, I think we're making progress is my comment. I haven't heard, this is the first tonight, you've spoke to me about anything in recent days. They've been asphalting over by you, they've been working on some things.
They did the parking lot.
And I know that some of the issues, Bobby Sabo has told me that they have been through almost all of them now, haven't you, Bobby, and they're complying there. Tom gave his report. I don't know if you've talked to Tom recently, but he's working with him for the sprinkler and the items with the state fire marshal. I mean, we are following up, and we will meet again with them before school starts.
Mayor, is there a way that the aldermen, Jane and I could be at the quarterly meetings with the staff and you, so we could?
I will consider that. I will consider that. That might be the way that it was so contentious at first, I said no. And because I wanted the staff to open freely, I will consider that the next meeting, that the two of you, because it's not just, well, I think that both sides now, the whole thing is all Ward 2, both ways. Years ago it wasn't, it was dividing line there. We'll consider that. Maybe that will be one way to address some things further.
And like I said, I just want to bring things to the table and get some answers, get some concrete answers.
There's a little, but I will get back with you. I will talk to Anissa. I'll get with Dr. Wingo and Dr. Barger. I know one of them just got back from some vacation. And we'll be setting it before they come back to school. Yes, sir. Alderman Kinsella.
I was unable to be there, but were there any citizens who didn't have a chance to speak?
No. I mean, that night you chose not to speak, Mike. You were on the news that night, but you didn't choose to speak. Alderman Randall?
Yeah, Mayor, to address Alderman Kinsella's question, I've heard from some of the folks who were there who felt intimidated by the way the meeting was run and the number of vocal supporters that were there. They didn't feel like the meeting was conducted within the agenda that they were expecting it to be, which I think that from my conversations, and that's the key word here, and you used it earlier, they would like to really be able to sit down and have a conversation.
Here's what I will do.
It's not about contesting things, it's
I
about having
understand,
a
but you
conversation.
understand, the spin goes both ways with that. I mean, when I watched the news before I got there, there was already a slant on the evening meeting before there was stuff previewing it. Here's what I'll say, and maybe our friend from the News Democrat can do this. If anyone from the Lindenwood neighborhood has ongoing continuous concerns, if they would send them to the mayor's office, I will take them personally to the next quarterly staff meeting that we have. And I will double check with Dr. Barger, but I will plan to invite the two Ward 2 aldermen at that meeting and see if we can't make some additional progress and address any other concerns that are out there. There have been a host of things that have been accomplished this summer, but I realize it's probably not 100%. But improvements have truly been made, and we'll continue to strive for that. So if we can we'll put it also on our webpage that we can, if somebody has a concern, they need to get it to me. I don't think we're scheduled in the next couple of days, but we'll get something scheduled in July, Anissa, before they come back to school. Roger?
And I think that this is striking a happy medium here. I think Alderman Bittner's points are very well taken. At that meeting that night, when you got up and spoke, and Dr. Barger, you actually both laid out things that were happening and a somewhat of a timeline on what would be accomplished by the end of the summer and within the next 2 years, especially with fire suppression. So I think, and I'm not saying that Alderman Bittner is striking a conciliatory tone, but I think he is, and he's certainly not backing down from his stance. But I think Lindenwood actually is getting a handle on a timeline, and which I think probably more than anything, they know the job's going to get done. The things, they know it's going to happen. I think what they're in the back of their mind saying, give us a date, And so if Dr. Barger, and I think he's back now, and maybe what you said, maybe the two aldermen could be at these special meetings that you have, or committee meetings, whatever the case. But I think it's striking a happy medium and just setting up a timeline of what we know actually is going to get done, is going to happen, and in what's the time frame.
We'll work some more. Get me the items, any of you here, over, if there's stuff from residents of 3, get something to my office in email or in writing, and then I will work with Dr. Barger about this next staff joint meeting and come up with a date. I'm sure it'll be sometime middle of July, and then we'll tackle. Well, we'll check with you. We'll check. We'll check. I'm gonna
But I
be,
definitely wanna be there.
yes, I understand. We'll figure this out. But I will work on this and we will continue. But like I said, a number of the neighbors who have met with me with many concerns earlier have met with me now saying that they believe much has been done. So I do think some progress is truly being made and will continue. So, anything else regarding that under old business, unfinished business? Moving on to miscellaneous and new business. We have a motor fuel claims in the amount of $11,777.39. What's your pleasure? Alderman Seibert, move to pay that? Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Wiggington. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Motion carries. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask for a motion to go in executive session. The only thing tonight is about the possible property acquisition discussion and possibly action when we come out. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Ovian. Do I hear discussion? All in favor of going into executive session for that purpose, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Bob Sable and Jamie, if you want to stay, this shouldn't take long, but in case there's questions about okay, we are back in open session, and we do have, as the agenda states, we do have one more item that we are going to move forward with, and it stated on the agenda, possible motion to approve property acquisition. So at this time, I would ask for a motion for the city council to be authorized and for the mayor to sign for the purchase of 708 West Monroe and 723 West Monroe, each of them for the price of $779.25 apiece to be paid to the St. Clair County trustee. I would also note that these two properties have been in our housing problem department for some time, and court action is pending on these properties to come down already. And what we'll do by purchasing them, as was explained by Mr. Sable, will save the money that it would cost to advertise in the media to take them down, and all the bidding process for just advertising will save some money there. So by purchasing them, then we'll go through the process. In lieu of demolition, yeah, we won't have to go to court then on the demolition, okay? So do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of these two, 708 and 723 West Monroe? Alderman Dillman, second. Alderman Silsby, and for the price of, a total price of $1,558.50, and as we discussed, that money will come out of TIF 3. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dendelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Wiggington.
Ayes have it. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion by Alderman Wiggington, second by Alderman Galletti. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.